Get out of town. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. Tonight is, what's tonight? July the 13th. Wednesday, July the 13th of 2022. Time is 9:25 Central. Today we want to talk about really changing dimensions. We're going to talk about how your consciousness, cautiousness, carelessness creates confusion instead of consciousness. So tonight we want to really focus on how chaos creates confusion. But underneath that, like all of these messages, we want to get into the really meat and potatoes. It kind of sort of leads a little bit also into the God kind class, which we're going to be breaking down. That starts on July the 16th. That cost is $149. I'm going to do a change in direction. I was going to do a little bit more of the stuff that we all talk about when we talk about the God kind and God class, which is, establishing this generative, operative, dedicated, disciplined direction. But we want to change it up and go behind what generates, operates, and directs during the class. So that's why there was a change in. I was going to do it for $129, and that's why there's a change in price and change in cost. So this is a brand new topic. We're touching on it a little bit tonight because we want to talk about that. If you can imagine something, that something exists. It just exists on another frequency. So we want to talk about the sound that invokes what like in some of the ancient texts when we get into different sounds. Like we were talking about and we were talking about that sound that makes. Well, during the God kind class, we want to really delve into when you are even doing something good, like, for example, if you vow everything is going perfect, too much perfect actually creates confusion. And if you are actually doing something bad, too much bad actually creates confusion. So you must think freely only of the state you desire to realize. So again, somebody should write that down. You must think freely, so it cannot be forced. It has to be a automatic expression or upbringing, if you will. Everybody must think freely. And so it is this thinking freely that we're going to be talking about when we get into the God kind class. So we want to go in an entirely new direction with this topic. Because as everybody knows, we've been talking about subjects like this for some time. But we want to assist you with understanding that your DNA is not necessarily controlling your future, but your DNA is the instrument that records your future. So we've got to break that down as far as understanding that you can build your own DNA and genes by changing your thoughts through what is called epigenetics. So we want to go a lot deeper when we get into the God kind class that starts on July the 26th. July the 16th, on July the 16th, that's this Saturday or Sunday. And again, the cost is $149. You can pay half now, half later kind of thing like we always do. It should be about a 7-part series, and again, we'll be talking about that more. But for tonight's message, we just want to make it clear that you understand that we all have imagination. And all of our imaginations, we sit and we just kind of daydream. But what that is, that's your brain telling you that there is a different version of you walking around somewhere. Kind of like that was in the movie Doctor Strange. And so when I have an imagination, when I use my imagination and I'm thinking about something, I'm thinking about someone, I'm thinking about some place, I'm thinking about some ideal, and if I go back all the way to source, I'm thinking about abundance. So I have, and you have, the ability to operate on multiple levels. So you can change your dimension, or you can do what is called quantum jumping anytime you want. So we're going to be talking about that as well when we get into how. So the God kind classes, we just want to focus really on what does that mean when I say God kind. Source kind was what I talked about earlier today, and that was the source code brain. So the God kind and the God class is about that brain. And it's tonight what we're talking about is how that one of the effects of the brain. So the class is going to talk about the cause. Tonight we're talking about the effect. So what is the result? What is the benefit? Well, the benefits of oscillating with the God kind. So this is a class that you can be like God. What is the benefit? Well, the benefits are the ability to change dimensions or change verses. So, when they talk about string theory, they talk about the strings that hold reality together or hold reality in place. Those strings are imagination. So your imagination is so powerful that it holds reality in place. Not only does it hold reality in place, it also has the power to change reality. So you can change reality with your mentality. So that's what the God kind class is about. It's about teaching you on how to do that, kind of like the permanent honeymoon effect, like we talked about earlier today. Because we know that feelings in one verse affect the feelings in the other verse. So we want to make sure that you understand that make sure that everybody understands and has everything that you need to know about the honeymoon effect. And so that way you can monetize, because at the end of the day, that's the medium of exchange on this dimension. So whatever you do not want, do not feel. Remember, we talked about that earlier. So it's not rocket science, but it is rocket science because it's easy to say that, but when something bad happens, you feel. We all do. So we have this, I'm going to use the word, debilitating feeling sometimes when something bad happens. Like if you make a mistake, you feel bad about it. Especially like if you love somebody and you disappoint them. So we don't like disappointing the people that we love. It's like providing a product, service, information. You don't like producing a product, service, information that people like. You don't want to write a book and it's whack. You don't want to set up a course and it's whack. So we want to be able to understand that there's a spiritual, underlining culture when it comes to changing dimensions. Because the enemy is smart enough to give you too much good, that creates confusion, or give you and overwhelm you with too much worry, concern on evil, that creates confusion. So the enemy's job is to make sure that he keeps you in a state where you're not operating in this absolute cosmic, life-giving, positive energy. So this cosmic principle, if you want to use that term, one of the elements, or all of these 5 elements, those are what you and I call principles. And hopefully my sound I heard a bloop bloop. Yeah, I think I'm still good. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. So all I'm simply saying is that earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So those are all of the generative powers of the God class that we're going to be breaking down. But the problem is that when we try to think about them individually, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, instead of combining them, this is the science of spirituality. So all creation is made up of these 5 frequencies. So your job is to harmonize. It's kind of like getting 5 people to sing and getting them all to sing in harmony. That's what you're doing with yourself. You're getting all 5 frequencies that's found in Hebrews 4:12. We call it speech. So the word of God it is alive. It is powerful. It is sharper than any two-edged sword. It has the ability to divide spirit, number 1. Soul, number 2. Joint and marrow, number 3. And is discerner of the thoughts, number 4. And your intentions, number 5. So those are the 5 frequencies that must align in order for you to change your design. So if you are able to align the 5 frequencies or the 5 ethers or elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, then you can change timeline by simply meaning, what that simply means is that you may be making $30,000 a year, but you can imagine, you can see yourself making $100,000 a year. So to go from making $30,000 a year to making $100,000 a year, you got to do some frequency jumping or quantum jumping. And that frequency jumping and quantum jumping can only happen when your mind is in a line with the new design. What does that mean? Well, when you talk about alignment, that means that you must think only about the state you desire to realize. So when you feel the reality of the state that you want, and I don't like the word want, when you feel the reality of the state that you desire, that just simply means that in your brain, you can create enough electrical magnetic frequency that you get, animated. So what happens is where you are at, the energy starts to dissolve, and where you are going, the energy starts to evolve. So you are dissolving energy in one space, and you are evolving energy in another place. So it's this ability to dissolve. Now remember, this happens metaphysically. You do nothing physically. This is a feeling state. So you must feel the reality of the state thought, and you must live and act on that conviction in a way that it seems like miracles are happening. Now, this happens to me all the time. So a miracle is like having, like back a few months ago, I think it was a couple of months ago, when I, was doing a sale and, $30,000 in one day. So to generate $30,000, some people do that all the time. And so that was the result of what I'm telling you right now. Excuse me. So to generate whatever change, like right now, I can close my eyes and I can see when I go into and I log into my different payment systems, and I can see this number, and it's 364,000, 364,000. So whether that's a lump sum or whether it's my mantra, which I say every day, 1K a day is how I play. So I always say that mantra regardless if I make $1, if I don't make no money, if I make $1,000, if I make 5,000, 10,000, doesn't matter, because remember, I'm married to the role, not the goal. So when you marry the role, then you automatically show up at the goal, and you won't even know that you're there, yet you're there until you go back and look at the step-by-step process. Now, this dissolving and evolving process is a feeling process. Now, you should start feeling a little bit more magnanimous every day. That means that your current reality, we'll call that negative habit or current habit pattern, is dissolving. And then the new reality, we'll call that life-sustaining pattern, because that's what I have inside of my life management system. That's where I got this from. And then module number 3 is what? Behavioral dynamics, where you dissolve one reality and you evolve, you move, you L-O-V-E. Remember the word evolve is E-V-O-L-V-E. So when you get enough V-E, that is value and energy, then you can E-V-O-L or L-O-V-E. So what everybody on this call, you got to increase your V for value, your E for energy. So when you're able to increase your value to yourself and your energy to yourself, then you can increase your value and your energy to everyone else. So this is a value increasing game. So everybody on the call, in order to evolve, whether we're talking money, whether we're talking about health, whether we're talking about wisdom, or whether we're talking about relationships, it's all the same process. Because remember, if you have chaos, if you don't have a step-by-step plan, that creates confusion. And if you got too many step-by-step plans, that creates confusion. So the enemy's job is just to get you in a state of confusion. Your job is to simplify it. So every time I feel rushed or if I feel like I got a lot on my plate, what do? I simplify it. So what does that mean? That means what value do I bring to the market? So when I go back to value, that gives me energy. And you guys know the acronym that we have for this word that in English that we call value. And so anytime you want to increase your energy, you must vibrate authentically. You must vibrate authentically from a place of L, love. That makes you, unique. And E, eternal. VALUE. So anytime that there is a, concern, if you want to use that term for lack of a better term, even though we know there's no such thing as concern, it automatically elevates me out of my confusion. So confusion can happen when you're doing very, very good, and confusion can happen when you're doing very, very bad. So the enemy is light years ahead of us from the perspective of knowing that chaos creates confusion. A lot of people don't know that you can be a millionaire and you could be in chaos. Because a millionaire just means you just got a million different responsibilities. And so your job is to be able to do what? Simplify. Now you could delegate, but you still got to be able to simplify. That means you got to change dimension from a dimension where you are overwhelmed, confused. And he's not confused because you don't know what to do. Because a lot of times it's confused because you got so many options to do. That's confusing too. So if you like me and you got 300 books and you got 5,000 different audio shows, you got another 357-hour series. Okay, which book do you promote of the 300? So that's what gets people in trouble is it's not the doing bad that gets you in trouble. It's actually success. Because when you are more successful, you have more people pulling on you because you ordered that. Success is you telling Source, I can handle more responsibility. Source said, oh, you can. And you said, yes, sir, I can. So Source gives you more responsibility. So you see it as more money. But like I think it was the movie Spider-Man says with great power comes great responsibility. And when you got a lot of responsibility, that can be overwhelming. And once you get overwhelmed, you can kiss the baby. Right after that, you broke. Because a feeling of overwhelmness precedes poverty. Because what is it? So when you are overwhelmed, it's a lack of focus, discipline, and order. Because, number one, you have too many options or you don't have no options. It's both the same. It's just like kids who grow up in a very affluent environment and kids who grow up in extreme poverty, they both grow up with the same problem, privilege. It's crazy. I mean, when I studied deviant behavior, I could not believe that. You mean to tell me, little Johnny, he grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. He had every toy, every game, everything you could think of. So now he expects everybody to do the same shit that he did, that his mom and daddy did when they spoiled his life. Well, what about the, little, nunchucks in the hood? Little nunchucks in the hood, he grew up dirt poor like me. He ain't never had nothing, ain't never had two nickels to rub together. And so little nunchucks, he grew up like everybody owes me. That's what I had. I had an attitude like, shoot, that stuff that I really about. I had it hard growing up, so somebody gonna pay me. I don't know who gonna pay me, but shit, somebody owes me, man. I had that disposition like money gets supposed. I ain't got to work. I suffered, dog. I had a hard life as a kid. You don't understand. Therefore, somebody got to pay me. So the same problem exists when you are ready to change lanes and become a god or a goddess. Chaos creates confusion. Chaos is success and failure. Success and failure creates the same mental disposition. That shit is crazy to me. So you mean to tell me a homeless man and a rich man, they both got the same problem? Absolutely, 100% shit. Go talk to a homeless man, then go talk to a rich man. They both stress the beep out. Why? Because they're married to the role. They're not married to the goal. What does that mean in English, Doc? Well, too much is the same as not enough. Let it sink in for me. Too much is the same as not enough. You end up at the same place mentally, which is, as we said earlier today, what you do not want, do not feel. Somebody should write that down again. That's one problem on earth. You feeling shit you don't want. And I don't know why you keep doing it. It's like I told my children when my daughter Shamura died. There's nothing I can't even put into the English language. I keep saying that example because it's still the pain is the same. It never goes away. Because it's different if you're a father than if you're a sibling or if you're a mother or if you're an aunt or if you're an uncle. Because a father, and then if you are a provider, but if your name means provider and protector, that's the only job, and you failed. That's you got one job. One. That's it. And you failed at that? Shit, you better go find a bridge. So the only reason I'm here, still, because that was the two options I had. It was either kill myself or evolve. So I chose to evolve. That's why I'm still here. And remember, the word evolve means EVOLVE. Turn it around. So that's energy that comes from value, EV. So that way you can love, LOVE. That is the only way to change lanes. That's what's called source code brain. Now I'm going to break down the science behind it starting Saturday when we get into the God Kind class. Remember, that cost is $149. It's brand new stuff. I was going to kind of rehash some of the old stuff, do it a little cheaper, just to kind of re-emphasize all the stuff that we talk about. But it's time for us to go on. I think everybody has heard enough of. It's time to give you guys some brand new material, if you will. Why? Well, like we talked about today, there's a serious problem going on in the world today because everybody's saying and repeating the dominant culture. So if people are watching the news and they repeat the news, they don't know that you bring about what you say. You can create your own world. As I told everybody today, I can prove to you that you are a galaxy. That you got a sun. You got 9 planets rotating around you called chakra system. And your solar plexus and all of your neurons in your brain match identically to all of the stars in the sky. This is scientifically proven already. So you are your own galaxy. You are the god or goddess, and all of the planets and the stars, all your cells in your body are all the people that live in your galaxy. You are a microcosm of the macrocosm. If you only knew how, man, this is crazy. This is why I like watching Westworld. Westworld is the only thing that kind of comes close to explaining your significance. You are a god with amnesia. You just got some entity over you, Nibiru, just the way we're over cows and chickens. Because we're just a little bit more advanced than, that's why we got dogs as pets. Y'all remember the movie The Planet of the Apes? Y'all remember that? Remember both of them? There was one where the people was in charge and they was beating the shit out of the apes. Then there's another one where the apes was in charge and they got the Negroes, they got the people in cages. And the apes was running things. It's no different than here on Earth. So when you think freely only of the state that you desire, that's what you realize. Because feeling the reality of the state, thought, and living and acting as if, that means to live and act with conviction. That's what we call a miracle. See, all changes of dimensions, salary, weight, wisdom, relationship, all changes of dimensions, to go from like Dr. Strange, to change the multiverse, they're all brought about through the change of feeling. So a change of feeling is a change of destiny. A change of feeling is a change of your diaconia. A change of feeling is a change of your purpose. It's a change of your mission. Your whole salary, your weight, everything's changes when your feelings change, not your thoughts. Even though the thoughts make up the feelings, but we got to deal with the feelings. Because the feelings, they are emotionalized thoughts. Everybody sees this is the problem with Think and Grow Rich or mantras. People wake up in the morning and they say, well, I'm going to make a vision board and I'm going to write it down. I'm going to say, I am rich. How much emotion do you have when you say that? Answer, 0. So you don't feel jack shiznit, but you just regurgitating it because, you saw it on TikTok video. That shit doesn't work. Otherwise, them fools wouldn't be on TikTok. They'd be out at their yacht somewhere. So what are you saying, Doc? I'm saying that where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Period. Drop the mic, exit the stage. The acronym for the word value, remember we said VE, because the word, in order for you to change dimensions, if you can imagine it, that means that it exists somewhere in the universe. So I want to ask you the billion-dollar question. Can you close your eyes or keep them open, and can you imagine any other type of life? I told you guys what I already imagined. I can imagine, I'm getting a brand new house. This is just, that's just like a starter home. I see a 10,000 square foot, 10 bedrooms, 6 bath, 6 car garage. I can imagine flying to Dubai in my private jet, eating lunch, and then flying to Paris for dinner before I get back in the little jet, fly my ass back home. Well, all the while I'm sleeping, I'm a hire a pilot to fly. I ain't gonna learn to do it. I'm gonna learn enough in case the fool falls asleep or something. What can you imagine? See, if you can imagine it, that means it already exists. You just gotta align with it. So, how do you align your mind with your highest desire? You guys know what we talked about? See, the number one problem that everybody got is that we've all settled for Lucifer's left instead of pursuing God's best. How do I know that? Well, you get paid in $5 bills. This is how Lucifer pays. So Lucifer pays you. If you procrastinate, hesitate, frustrate, Lucifer will pay you. Excuse me. I have to get some H2O. So let me make sure that I was saying. So when I used to work for Lucifer, he like to tell you, God, he pays good. Anytime you're not fulfilling your highest value, you're working for Lucifer. Why? So anytime you're not fulfilling your highest value, you don't have amplification. It's like I told all the men, when you wake up in the morning, you should have an erection. You should be standing straight up. Why? Because you're so excited to go to work. If you're not, you need to change jobs. What does that mean? Well, I mean, that's kind of like everybody can relate to that, right? Ladies, you should be like old girl in that song. I can do this for hours. She said she jumped up on the countertop and then she makes the shit rain. That should be you, ladies, when you get ready to go to work. If not, you should change your job or your career. Why? You're not in an amplified state. You're not fulfilling your highest value. You're not doing shit that inspires you, man. You're just here existing. I promised myself and I promised Samora that I would pursue my highest value. So I'm living for me and for Samora. All the shit that Samora couldn't do, I'm going to do. I'm saying, little Momo, come on, let's go. What are you doing, man? Are you still playing church? Are you pursuing your freaking highest value? This is how you know you're getting paid by the devil. Number one, you're a consumer. You just consume shit. You don't create nothing. Not you personally, of course, but people, just watch. They buy. But they don't produce. People consume more than they produce. You should be able to produce enough shit for you, your phone, and a couple of more. Number one, consumers. Number two, they're addicted. Easily, you're addicted to this, addicted to that. Now, I'm not talking about, which is one of the reasons why I do detoxes. Just to remind myself, you're not in charge. The big G's in charge. Too many addictions. Number three, compulsive disorder. That means you got very compulsive behavior. Nothing's planned out. Now, I'm not talking about adventurous. I'm not talking about spontaneous. You should do that. A lot of it. I'm talking about you're pulled. I'm talking about that you have been drugged. You know it's wrong, but you look like, you do it out of spite. You're obsessive, compulsive. Number four, Lucifer pays you when you got a lot of instant gratification. You gotta have it now, Doc. Gotta have it now, brother. You don't know what's there. Instant gratification. Number five, constant attention seeking. This is how you know that you can't grow. Because you are already receiving your payment. So you can't receive money. So you cannot receive currency from source while you're getting paid from anti-source. You got to pick one. You can't serve God and mammon, according to the scripture. You got to choose a side, bruh. My bad. I hate to be the bearer of good news. So you can't serve God and Satan. You can't be a high-value Negro and a low-value Negro at the same time. That's why everybody was sweating on Kevin Samuels, because he came dropping knowledge and Negroes got pissed off. Especially ladies. Ooh-wee. Black ladies got pissed off. Because Kevin Samuels was telling the truth. Now, the way he was saying it, yeah, he could sharpen up his skills. I ain't mad at him, but the message still had worth, had value. Now, should you say, if you 5'3" and got 2 kids, it's a wrap? No, you can't say that. So he was saying it, but you could tell that he wasn't as high value as he was claiming. Because when you are a high value Negro, you got number one, you are authentic. Number two, you're automatic. And number three, you're awesome. That's how you know you're high value like keep it on. Male or female. So you can't change dimensions until you've done all of this first. You got to be high value. Well, what does high value mean, Doc? Well, high value means that the more the emotional response, the more the attachment. Somebody should write that down. Okay, say that again in English, Doc. I didn't get it. High value means I do shit that gives me an emotional response. Now, my wife actually go fishing. And she asked me to go. And I always say, hey, I'll drive you down there. I'll get the hotel. I'll set the Airbnb. I'll drop you off at the fishing spot. Sometimes I even go to the fishing spot. I just make sure I got my phone or a Wi-Fi connection. And I sit there and watch her fish while I do my show. Why? Emotional response. Fishing does it for her. Doesn't do shit for me. Everybody's different. So should I be like making her feel bad because she gets animated by fishing? And should she make me feel bad because I get animated by doing shows? Absolutely not. Different strokes for different folks. What is your job? Your job is to align your mind with your design. You don't give a shit about what other people think. So the more emotional, see, everybody's thinking right now. Everybody can imagine. But what you're thinking, what you're imagining, is not making your toes curl. You're not getting an erection. Men, ladies, you're not producing any liquid. We'll put it that way. Now, that's the low vibrational way of looking at it because everybody can relate to sexual terms. But it's the same thing mentally or spiritually. That means you should be what? Amplified. You should be excited. You should be in a state of euphoria. When you wake up every morning, that's why, like I said, like to me, sleep is an interruption. But that's just the way because why? I'm excited. Why am I excited? Because I can't wait. Because every day I'm doing something different. Every day, I'll just say one video to go viral, and I'm going to have another $30,000 a day. One video. That's all it takes. That's why I be posting videos. Is this one going to hit? Is this one? It's kind of like gambling. You go out there, snake eyes. You go to Vegas, or you go somewhere, and you go, hit the slot machine. Like every time we go on a cruise, we used to go, before COVID-19 hit, we used to go cruises every year. And you know where the wife was at? Slot machine. You know where I was at? The internet room. And then we'd meet up and go off, whatever, whenever we would go to port somewhere. Then all of us would get, you know where the kids would be at? Alex would be out doing his thing, at the basketball court or at the pool. Janiyah was out walking around with some girls going to like either some dancing or hair or makeup or whatever little girls was doing on the cruise. Excuse me. And then I would meet up afterwards. What's the point, Doc? Everybody did whatever animated them. But what happens if you're part of a religious organization? What happens if you're part of a marriage? What happens if you're part of a group that says your animation, the thing that, make you resurrected? Remember, Christ how did he get up from the grave? He did exactly what I'm telling you to do. See, right now y'all got our grave clothes on. In the scripture, and remember that song, them bones, them dry bones, them bones, them dry bones. Y'all remember that? Some of you guys got dry bones. Why? Well, the way y'all savings account is set up. Y'all got that Kevin Hart savings account. Okay, Doc, what does that mean in English? Well, you guys remember we talked about the accelerator of exponential results. So God doesn't do math the way we do. So God does this, it's called the law of exponentiality. So once you get outside of and stop procrastinating, hesitating, which leads you to being frustrated, and you draw the line in the sand, he says that from now on, I'm not going to give my attention away because that's my money. So I'm not going to, see, you have to pay attention. So attention is the currency of the universe. So I want to ask you the $1 billion question. Are you paying with your attention for your future? Or are you paying with your attention for your past? I'm asking for a friend. See, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to put all my money on the fact that you're paying attention to the past. Because the past, that's costing you cash. The past will come up and bite you in the ass. I already know, I already did it. I didn't read it in the book. So since I got something called personal experience, remember I said yesterday, I love fear. Fear is my greatest asset. This is how I smoke all demons and devils. This is how I can outwork everybody. This is why nobody can come close to me. Nobody can touch me. You can carry my luggage, but that's about it. I mean, not you personally, but because you know. So what are you saying, Doc? See, I have something called Richmond, Texas. I have something called homelessness 8 times. I have something called a failed marriage. I have something called children that wasn't really around because I was working 3 freaking jobs. I have something called adult children now that still need a father. Not to be a father, but to do what as fathers do. I'm an advisor now. You can't discipline kids, tell them what to do. But every once in a while they call you and say, hey, Dad. The calls I love the most is for my children when they say, Dad, I got a question. It's really for my daughter, Sheree. Boy, I get excited when Sheree calls. Because Sheree never calls. Ever. I mean, like ever. Ever. So when she calls, hey, Dad, I got a question. I get excited. Because I'm a freaking father. So let me make sure y'all understand, because that same excitement that I get from when my children call, I get the same excitement when one of you guys call. Unless it's somebody playing with my emotions. Then I got to do like I talk about when I be playing along with J Money. Say, J Money, call me back when you're ready, bro. Stop playing. So I already know what J Money's doing. I talk about him all. I mean, because remember, me and J Money, we almost like brothers. I mean, the dude's been in my house. We don't have to eat and everything. We talk a lot. But J Money, hey, like I was, I ain't mad at him. He's chasing that poo nanny and he's chasing paper. Look at his videos. I talk to him here. I just talk to him. We talk almost every day. So he know I talk about him. I tell him, say, yeah, Doc, he calls all the time. Yeah, Doc, I heard you talking shit again. Say, yeah, nigga, well, I'm gonna talk about you. Why? On Father's Day, I got texts and calls from about 10 prior black men who used to be a part of the group. They call me Cosmic Dad. You think they just made that shit up because it sounds good? They know I will never tell them something that I, number one, ain't personally done myself. And number two, it doesn't work. Are you serious? So, in order for you to over and understand how to change your verse, you got to change your vibe. In order for you to change your vibe, which gives you your tribe, you have no online market if you don't have no vibe. As I said earlier, nobody buys your product, your service or your information. People buy your feelings, the energy. You know why I like being around you? Because how you make me feel. Your energy. It's not your product. Shit, I can buy books and courses and stuff. Why everybody's here? Everybody's here because everybody on this call, you hang around certain people and you avoid others. Why? If somebody calls you, look at the call ID and you're like, oh shit, what's his name? You know what, I call him back. Why? Then somebody else call you, oh man, hey, boy, what's up, homeboy? Why? Energy. Feeling. Nobody want to be around people who broke, busted, and disgusted. So I don't allow myself to be broke, busted, and disgusted. I don't give a shit about reality. You should not either. Everybody talks to me about reality. Fuck reality. What's your mentality? See, you have to be able to change because change is not an accident. Your life is not going to change by accident. It's going to be changed by miracles. Not no miracles, but by management. I am not waiting for Jesus to perform a miracle because he gave me the ability to perform management. Manage my mother beat thoughts. That's your job too. The way that you change dimensions is you got to have a reason. Reason changes season. I do not entertain the feeling of regret or failure or frustration. I detach from that shit immediately. Now, let me be crystal clear because this is not no Ebenezer Baptist message. You're going to get tested too. They're like me. Everybody get a chance at the bat. Now, hopefully you got the same resolve that I had to get. When it's your turn, the Bible says that on that evil day, having done all, stand. Everybody goes through emotional disturbances. We all have suppressed emotions. We all have feelings, or we all feel very intensely about wrongdoings, especially when you cannot voice your feeling or your expressions, like you're on your job, or if you're, under the age, you got a parent, and you really want to express yourself, but you, out of respect, you filter those feelings and you keep it to yourself. Well, those feelings, unfortunately, is why you can't see the field. Your feelings create your field, and your field creates what's real. So you cannot have a tribe. Everybody right now, you should be building an audience, but you can't unless you have a specific vibe. That vibe contains your verbs. Your verbs, they activate your nerves. And that sends out the chemistry, especially if you melanate it, because melanin holds. It doesn't lose energy. Let me say that slowly. Melanin creates a circumference whenever you take a stance. We call it circle stance. There's a circle created around you when you take a stance. For all people, but especially melanin, because it's called black body physics. If you want to research the physics of it, I have that inside of my book, Black Magic. Remember, I got $100,000. One of you physicists out there, one of you biochemists, one of you highly educated Negroes want to debate. Do your research first, though, bro. So let me get this right. Energy comes in, it don't go out. So if you melanated, you can't tell me shit. You got no excuse, bro. If you melanated and you over 40, yeah. There's nothing you can tell me that you got zero excuses. Now if you melanated and you a male and you 40, okay, the light just turned on. Because men, we don't figure out shit till at least 40. That's when it comes on. Then we got to figure shit out after that. Now you shouldn't wait like that. You should be like me, try to figure it out. That's why if you know somebody that's melanated and they're under 40, you should connect it with me as soon as possible. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give them their Dick report. But I ain't going to give it to them for free, though. Why? I never met a man in prison. I never arrested anybody when I was a cop. I never counseled anybody when I worked at the halfway house without a client. And since I've been doing this, working full-time for the last 10 years, been doing it for over 20, but I didn't start making no money at first because I didn't do what I'm telling you. I wasn't, number one, authentic. Why? I believe, just like you, I didn't have nothing to offer. Nobody's going to believe me, so I was fake. So I went into the thing that came easiest for me. I set up the Lucifer's List. What did I do? I did fitness boot camp at the park. That video is still floating around out there on one of my YouTube channels. Now, I was working at the gym, so that kind of fit, right? But what did I do? Why did I go into that area? Look at my numbers. I ain't got shit to do with fitness. But why did I go there? Shit's easy, doc. Because I had been doing it already. See, you're doing what you learned. You're not doing what you were born to do. I mean, not you personally, but people you know. How do I know? Your vibe is weak. What I mean by you don't have that disposition that said, I wish a Negro would. You don't carry that disposition. You don't go and look people in the eye and say, you don't want none of this, homie. See, you don't walk into a negotiation room and demand shit. You ask. You're not a owner yet. You're still an employee. Now, it's not your fault, you know, especially if you're black. You're still suffering from the psychological effects of Willie Lynch. You still either in the field or the house, nickel, but you're still on the plantation. Your ass ain't ran off yet. Now, if you stick around me, you know, it's saying all you niggas all y'all gonna leave the plantation. So you gotta remember, I'm like the John Brown. I'm the spiritual John Brown. I think his name was John Brown. What was his name? Was it John Brown? I forgot his name. Anyway, the black dude that got together and ran off and started burning up. Yeah, that guy. So what are you saying? I'm just saying it's time for y'all niggas to leave the plantation. Master's asleep. So we can all leave now. But we got a conundrum. You know when you leave the plantation, you on your own. So what do you got to do? Well, in the Navy, my son, he got this saying, we all laugh when he says it, because we actually, when they told him, I told you guys this before, when he went to the drill instructor and asked him for help, the drill instructor told him, figure it the fuck out. So I'm going to tell y'all the same thing. Figure it the fuck out. That's what I do every morning. I wake up, I figure it the fuck out. But I didn't just adopt that theory. I just got that because he said it. I use more benevolent terms. But I like hanging out with BJ because I'm learning how to curse more. I don't really like cursing. But I'm learning that sometimes, you know, ain't nothing wrong with it. Because, as I told you guys before, brother Nat Turner, was it Nat Turner? Brother Joseph said it was Nat Turner. Maybe it was Nat Turner. Just one of them. The Negro I think he was a preacher. And my boy just went, was it Nat? It was Nat Turner. Yep. Yeah, thanks, Brother Joseph. My boy ran out of the plantation and he like burned shit up. He killed, man. I mean, supposedly women, children. I don't know if you would go that far, but my boy was tired. Like some of y'all ain't tired yet. That's why you still on the plantation. Some of y'all still, Master, y'all still got the little, oh boy, what was it? Oh, when they played that role in Django, Samuel L. Jackson. Woo-wee. He played the house nickel like I stopped liking Samuel L. Jackson after that. Some of y'all is the Samuel L. Jackson of Django. Y'all still house Negroes. Master or we sit. Whatever Master say. Master is that little voice in your head that tells you, stay on the plantation, stay at your job. Don't take no risk. Now let me tell you what to do. Now you ain't got to follow my advice. Y'all grown ass women and grown ass men. All I'm saying, what you should do, you should get your ass in debt. You should overpromise. You should borrow as much money. You should put your ass in a deep hole. What's going to happen? Well, your ass going to sink or swim. That's it. Those are the only two options you got. Now, in the Marine Corps, this is how they taught us how to swim. While the drill instructor was talking, the other instructors walked behind us, and they pushed us in the pool. But it wasn't like we was in the pool. We was on this big 18, 19 story, some crazy shit. Running up and down, and we had a pack on boots, camouflage, when wet, 75 pounds. Now, I was a good swimmer when I went in, at least I thought. I can still see my brother's eyes when we both came up as we started heading to the bank to get our ass out. We both failed miserably because we underestimated the weight. We thought we were swimmers. You ever swim with a 70-pound pack on your back and boots? Then that wasn't even enough. After we finished that, then they took off the pack, and these fools tied bricks around our feet and threw our ass in the freaking deep end of the pool. And with those bricks around your feet, you sunk straight to the bottom. They taught us what they call rescue breathing. You fight to get to the top, take a deep breath of air, as your ass sinks back down to the bottom. You got to do that for 30 minutes. You want to talk about panic? We lost half our opportunity that day. What you said, Doc, what you said. Fear is the greatest motivator on the planet. Fear is more powerful than faith, as I've been telling you guys. Now, if you're smart, like me, you're going to use fear and faith. So when the devil shows up and puts you in a state of fear, you get paid. When God shows up, that's you. You, the devil, ain't God, by the way. I don't know if y'all know that or not. So when the good shows up, guess what? You get paid. So I told everybody on this call, let me tell you again. When I win, I win. When I lose, I win. So either way, I win. Now, how do you do that? Well, the way you win is what I told you guys before. You take out what y'all call feelings. See, I don't do those. So what does that mean? Well, when Shimura died, I had a choice. I had the choice of going back over my life and remember all the shit I did wrong. Then I had a choice to go back over, my life and remember all the shit I did right. Every day I wake up, I go to Facebook and I see all the images, especially every Friday, there's images of me and Shimura eating somewhere because that was our father-daughter date, especially the last 2 years of her life on this planet. Now, I could go back and remember the time when I was standing in the garage and I told her and Kendrick that I was leaving. And I remember Kendrick was like, okay, Dad. He got on his little motor scooter. And I remember Shimura was a baby. She was looking like she didn't understand. What do you mean you're not coming back? Can I go with you? All right, no, Shimura, you got to stay with your mama. And I'll never forget that day. Ever. Nothing like being a man whose your name, my name is William, it means provider and protector. You have no idea what it means to fail at the only fucking job you got. Y'all can't talk to me about failure. Now, you can talk to other people, but there's nobody on this call that can talk to me about failure. Now, there's a few of y'all that's pretty close, but I think I got you beat. Now, why would I bring that up? What is the point? To the degree that the pendulum swings to the left, that determines the degree that the pendulum swings to the right. I have not done shit yet. Stick around, get your motherfucking popcorn. I'm just starting. I need you to understand something as we close. I've been reserved from the perspective of I still have to shake off the last residue of that Christian shit. It's gone now. It took me all of this time to get out of that disposition. That is the most, I don't know, I've seen evil. Sister X, when I was a kid, that was pure evil. Working in the penitentiary of New Mexico at Santa Fe, when I worked in a Supermax, this guy, that they made a Lifetime movie, he was called The Animal. The guy did not shower. He did not shave. He did not, I'm going to use the word, do any normal human activity. That's the name of the animal. He would take his feces and rub it over his whole body. The dude was, if you could call him a human, out of all of my time working in the penitentiary at the Supermax, the one guy that I will always remember is that guy, the animal. I remember we had to do a cell extraction on him because we had to shave him because he refused to shower. So we sprayed his ass down with a water hose. The water hose, the pressure on the hose was so forceful, it was peeling his skin off. And then they took turns hitting this fool in the head with fire extinguishers. That didn't knock him out. This dude threw 10 men. I was one of them. He threw us around in that cell like we was freaking noodles. And I'm talking about some big dudes, 6'5", 250. One of the things that the dude used to tell me at night, when everybody else was gone, I would go down to the cell. And I would look up at the pod officer. We had the rover and the pod officer. And I would say, open cell 13. You are never supposed to go into an inmate cell. Number one, at night. Number two, you must always be visible to what is called a pod officer. That's the guy in a glass cage that's high up in the pod that can see inside of all the cells. Where there's a back part or corner of the cells that can only be seen on the TV, you can't see it with your eyes visually. I would purposely, because she would tell every officer that nobody would go into his cell by themselves and go to that corner of the cell where they were not seen because they knew they'd get their ass whooped. So, you know me, open cell 13. And I went back there and I looked this dude in the eye. You know what he did? He started crying. I'll never forget what he told me. He told me that he wished he had a soul. He told me he don't have one. This is where I got all of my OP, my whole book on organic portals. I got it from this dude. It's a Lifetime movie called The Animal. This is a true story. In prisons in Mexico, there's bodies burnt in cement. There's a part of the penitentiary that is cut off. Nobody can go in there. I used to go over there all the time just to feel the fear. Because I grew up afraid of my own shadow. I used to urinate and defecate on myself all the way up to the 5th grade. Y'all have no idea where I came from. And it's kind of good because y'all have no idea where I'm going. So I knew when I met this guy, when I looked into his eyes, there was nothing there. It was just dark. But I couldn't figure out his level of evil. Because I had never met nobody that was more evil than me. I've seen people that was evil, but when I got them one-on-one, they were just pretending. They was mama boys. This was the first guy I met that the hair on the back of my neck stood up. This was the first guy that I met that I knew he was pure evil. Because he did not have what you got. He knew it and he wanted it and he wished he had it. But he could not stop killing. And then right after he told me that, he said, I would recommend that you leave now. Because you got something to do. This is when I quit. I quit working in the prison. When he told me this, he says, you got something to do. You are not supposed to be here. And the only reason I was working in that damn prison is because I had effed up so many times and I was trying to get my wife back. This is my first marriage. He said, well, shit, you can't come back unless you got a job. The only person was hiring because nobody would work in the penitentiary of in New Mexico in Santa Fe. You should Google why. What is the worst riot? This one was in Attica. The other one was at the penitentiary of New Mexico. The next day I turned in my badge and I quit. Because for a man that had no soul, no mind, will, emotion, magic, intellect, in other words, they had no feeling of remorse. He told me he got more power when he killed more people. He once cut a man's head off, and he was holding the man's head, sitting in his cell with the blood all over his body, using his head as an ashtray. What changed my life? It wasn't God. It was the devil. This dude had no soul. He knew I had a soul. And he's told me you should get your ass out of here before somebody that don't have a soul try to take yours. So I'm telling you, same thing that he told me. Everybody on this call, you got a soul. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this call. My prayer, and I don't pray, if I was to pray, it would be for you to use your soul. Stop playing safe. Yeah, you trading yourself? Absolutely. There's a possibility. Worst case scenario, whatever it is, make sure you're okay with it. And then guess what? Tomorrow morning, everybody should get up and you should pursue your highest value. Start pursuing your highest value mentally. I say nothing about doing nothing physical. This is a mental disposition. This is a mental game. This is a mental war. Everything that's going on is in your freaking head. All of these emotions and feelings and all that shit y'all doing, if the emotions that you're having is not taking you in a direction of wealth, health, wisdom, and relationship, why the hell you have it? Why would you ever allow yourself to feel anything over time? I'm not saying nothing that like, hey, when my daughter died, I had feelings. So for a good 3 to 5 days, I was like anybody else. I was suicidal, I was lost, I was confused, I was angry, I went through all of the gamut. After that, I'll say, come on, Doc, what you doing, man? What do you think, you got some rich uncles or something? Think somebody, when your business fails, somebody gonna bail you out? What the fuck are you doing? You know this, you know how this works. If I can get you to feel it, I can get you to reel it. What you feel is what is real. So what you do not want, do not feel. Period. If you don't want poverty, if you don't want freaking, doubt, concern, envy, jealousy, strife, do not allow yourself to feel it. How you do that? You replace it with a feeling that is more powerful than that one. What feeling is more powerful than that one? Being God. Nothing is more powerful than being an individual expression of God on earth. That's why we're doing a God class starting on July the 19th, so we can teach you how to replace negative habit patterns with positive, life-sustaining patterns. Because that's the only way to get your ass out of your own prison. It's for you to be authentic, which makes you automatic, and that makes you awesome. And because you feel awesome every day that you wake up, regardless of what's going on in the world, you draw your vibe, will draw your tribe. And your tribe, that's how you thrive. Everybody in this call, you are part of my tribe. And because you're here, it allows me to thrive. I love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. God bless.